The riskiest comedy of your career has been delivered live to millions of people around the world and a room full of some of the world's most famous film stars and directors and producers when you were hosting 5 Golden Globe ceremonies between 2010 and 2020, I think.
You know, we haven't seen you really around since the Golden Globes, where
you were a low profile.
Yeah, well, they attacked you. They said that you were mean and rude, and you were surprised at that. You were surprised. Let me just read one of the things they thought was...
I am mean and rude. I'm surprised they attacked me for it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais just said out loud what the entire entertainment industry has been trying to bury for years, and now Wendy Williams is backing every single word of it. This isn't rumor. This isn't tabloid noise. These are 2 people who both paid a serious price for speaking up, and they're finally connecting the dots in a way that Hollywood never wanted you to see. Here's what most people don't realize. Ellen DeGeneres ran one of the most watched daytime shows in television history for nearly 2 decades. She built a brand around being the nice one, the safe one, the person everyone's grandmother loved. But behind that image was a machine, and anyone who got too close to the truth about how that machine actually worked found themselves either shut out, publicly embarrassed, or quietly pushed into a corner they couldn't get out of. Wendy Williams found that corner, and so did Ricky Gervais. What makes this story different from every other celebrity drama is that both of these people weren't random critics. Wendy had a platform that rivaled Ellen's in raw honesty. She said things no one else in daytime television would dare say.
And here's the thing. I'm glad that you thanked your Ellen fans, or whatever you call your nation. But 19 years on TV doesn't change your life. It exposes you for the person that you really are. Suzanne, you've been around the block.
Yes, I have been around the block. No, but I've been in this business for a while.
A long time.
I've worked with some all different types of hosts.
Yes.
And there's a lot that goes on.
Behind the scenes. I'm not sure that all the guests are happy. I was a guest, I wasn't happy. Just saying, Norman. And people called me out on it before I was able to say anything about it, like, oh my gosh.
And Ricky had one of the most watched stages in the world, the Golden Globes podium, where every major name in Hollywood was sitting in that room when he started talking. Neither of them backed down. What Wendy said about Ellen wasn't just shade. It was a direct accusation that Ellen had a dark side the industry was actively protecting. And what Ricky did at those award shows wasn't just edgy comedy. It was a public call-out of the most powerful people in entertainment, delivered straight to their faces.
It's okay selling out if it definitely works. But because you don't know, all you can do is not sell out. Then it doesn't matter whether it works or not. Because at least you didn't sell out. At least you can live with yourself. And you can have another go. No one's gonna... I don't need to be that. I didn't need anyone in that room. I write and, I could see the first time I did it, there were people looking around thinking, is this okay to laugh? Because I need a job off that bloke he's just taking the piss out of. I don't need him. I don't need a producer or a director or a writer. I don't need them. I don't need an actor, right? And, you could piss off every actor in the world and they'd still come and do the part with you if it was a good part. You know what I mean? They're not going to go, I'm not going to work because he upset me. How much? Okay, I'll do it.
The question nobody's been asking is whether those 2 things are connected. Because when you actually line up the timeline, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. And that's exactly where this story starts to get uncomfortable. Let's start with Ricky, because his story sets the stage for everything else. He hosted the Golden Globes 5 times between 2010 and 2020. Every single time he walked out there and said something that made the room go quiet. Not quiet like polite laughter quiet. Quiet like nobody knows where to look quiet. But his last appearance in January 2020 was different. That night, he didn't just roast celebrities for their bad movies or their streaming deals. He stood at that podium and directly named Jeffrey Epstein in a room full of the most powerful people in Hollywood. Think about what that actually means. This wasn't a podcast. This wasn't a tweet. This was a live broadcast with every major studio head, producer, and A-list actor sitting right there in front of him. And Ricky looked straight at them and said he knew about the connections.
What made you think, you know what, I'm just gonna hammer him? I don't care what the...
Well, I thought, when they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes, right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer. I was doing it for them, you know, and I didn't want to, it wasn't set out to hurt their feelings, but it was, if you're going to make it a spectator sport, then you better have something, better be something in it for the people at home.
At that 2020 ceremony, Ricky told the crowd that many of them had worked with Epstein, knew Epstein, or had flown on his private jet. He pointed out that the Department of Justice hadn't released anything publicly yet, but that the industry already knew what was sitting in those files. The room didn't laugh. The cameras caught faces that went completely flat the second he said the name. 5 years later, when the Epstein files were actually released, flight logs and internal documents confirmed what Ricky had suggested that night. Names from major studios, production companies, and entertainment networks showed up in those records. People who had been sitting in that exact audience. After that 2020 show, Ricky was never invited back to host the Golden Globes again. No official explanation, no public statement, just silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than any press release ever could. And that's the thing about how power works in Hollywood. They don't need to threaten you openly, they just stop calling. They just close the doors. And suddenly your access to the biggest stages in the world disappears overnight.
Yeah. Did you set out each time primarily to, puncture the pomposity of that world of celebrity and to expose some of the absurdities and what you saw as the hypocrisies of Hollywood?
Yes, and that got more honed and more targeted and more important and more liberating as I went along. Do I bite the hand that feeds me? Well, the answer is yes. Because who am I doing it for? Am I doing it for the 200 egos in the room, the most privileged people on the planet? Or am I doing it for the 200 million people around the world watching who aren't winning a Golden Globe, who aren't multimillionaires? Of course I'm doing it for them.
Ricky knew that would happen. He did it anyway.
I'm the fat bloke on the couch eating potato chips watching this. And I played that card. I shouldn't be there. I purposely played the outsider. I walked out with a beer. I walked out, I didn't look like them. I didn't act like them. I didn't think like them. The truth is, I do know some of them. I have got things in common with some of them. I'm an actor, I'm an entertainer. I was there as a comedian. And I think that, again, particularly in British comedy, a stand-up is a court jester. We're down with the peasants, laughing at the king. You've got to be in the mud with them.
Now here's where Wendy Williams enters the picture, and where the story takes a turn that most people completely missed. Wendy had been doing her show for years before any of this became public conversation. She built her entire brand on saying the unsayable. Celebrities hated going against her because she didn't operate by the same unwritten rules that the rest of daytime television followed. She didn't protect people just because they were powerful. She called it like she saw it, every single time.
Here's Wendy Williams. This is back in 1998. In the call that got her fired from Hot 97, Hot 28.
I just want to know, do you really think that every player is gay or every other player is? Are you a little gay obsessed, do you think?
I'm not gay obsessed, and every other would be an exaggeration, but I would say 2 out of 10.
Okay.
In sports, and 5 out of 10 in music.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't think that's gay obsessed. I think that's after being in this business for over 20-something years and seeing things from the inside out and the outside.
When Ellen announced she was ending her show in 2022, the response from Hollywood was almost choreographed. Celebrities posted tributes. Talk show hosts gave tearful send-offs. The entire industry lined up to praise Ellen on the way out, even though by that point, multiple former employees had already gone on record describing a toxic and abusive work environment behind the scenes. Wendy didn't play along. She was one of the only public figures who acknowledged what those employees had said and treated it like it actually mattered. She said directly that Ellen had a dark side that the industry was working hard to protect. Not a difficult personality, not a tough boss, a dark side.
A very good run. Congratulations to you, Ellen, considering all you've been through during those 19 years, including the workplace conditions, which, by the way, I believe she's leaving because the workplace conditions.
That's a specific choice of words, and Wendy wasn't known for being careless with her words when it counted. What happened next is the part that gets glossed over in most coverage of this story. Ellen actually addressed Wendy on her own show, and the way she did it wasn't a classy response or even a heated denial. It came across as a warning dressed up as a joke. Wendy herself looked caught off guard, which is saying something, because Wendy Williams was almost never caught off guard. People in the audience laughed because Ellen's delivery made it sound playful. But watch the clip back without the laugh track framing it, and the message lands completely differently. That moment right there is where the connection between Ricky's story and Wendy's story starts to click into place. Because here's the thing that ties both of these situations together, and it's something the mainstream entertainment press has never wanted to put in one sentence. Both Ricky Gervais and Wendy Williams were vocal. Both of them named powerful people directly, and both of them watched their careers get quietly dismantled in the years that followed. Ricky lost his Golden Globes platform without a single official reason given.
I didn't go out there and break the law. It wasn't mental. Everything was justified. I researched those jokes. I made sure it was fair. I wouldn't say anything to go, well, that's not fair. He didn't do that. I'd go, only tell the truth. I didn't out anyone. I didn't do anything it was not in public. I didn't do anything that was something they couldn't help. It was about their behaviours.
Yes,
So I have got this strict set of rules and codes, and I think it was the fact that as I went out there, am I an actor or a comedian? I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
I gotta say it. I'm a comedian. What would you do now then if you were doing it? What would you do?
Yeah, but the thing is, you watch that and you go, I don't know that I would have had the balls to do that.
Wendy lost her show, her independence, and eventually ended up in a conservatorship that stripped her of control over her own life and finances. Now, a conservatorship is a legal arrangement where a court decides that a person can no longer make decisions for themselves. Britney Spears went through one. The public spent years fighting for Britney's freedom and treated her situation like an obvious abuse of power. But when Wendy Williams ended up in one, the conversation was much quieter, much more controlled. Wendy has spoken about feeling blindsided by the whole process. People close to her situation have raised serious concerns about how it was set up and who benefited from it.
Terms of Wendy's guardianship seem to be extreme. I've spoke to her several months ago, and she just sounds like the same Wendy. Yes, is she quirky? Sure. Is she eccentric? Sure. She always has been.
And now a new revelation. Her team says a new medical evaluation ordered by Wendy's court-appointed legal team, finding she does not have frontotemporal dementia.
She does not have frontal lobar dementia. So that should be game, set, match.
Her former manager has been named in legal disputes connected to the conservatorship, and questions about whether Wendy's assets were properly protected have never been fully answered in public.
Wendy, if the guardianship were to end or there were changes made, where would you want to go and who would you want to live with?
First of all, I'm staying in New York. And what do you mean? First of all, I don't want a guardian. You know what I'm saying? I don't put it this way. I don't want Sabrina, period. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want guardian. You know what I'm saying? I want to get out of guardian. It's been over 3 years. It's time for my money and my life to get back to status quo.
Here's the plot twist that changes how you look at this entire story. Wendy didn't end up in that conservatorship because she was simply unwell. The timeline of her decline lines up directly with the period when she was being most vocal about powerful people in the industry, including Ellen. The pressure didn't just come from one direction. It came from multiple sides at once: legal, financial, and professional, all closing in around the same window of time. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern.
Are you okay?
I want to talk.
Are you okay?
This is my niece, Alex.
Okay. How do you feel about the Free Wendy movement?
How do you feel about it? Fabulous.
Fabulous.
So, our recent events have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
We came back from dinner, and apparently police were called. But I was told that at some point, police were called because the coterie here was saying allegedly that I took my aunt from this facility and whisked her away without any sort of confirmation or approval. which according to
Unbelievable.
everything that we have learned in terms of this whole situation, wondering exactly how that correlates with the statements that the Guardian has made that Wendy is able to come and go as she pleases.
Right.
And that there are no family visits that are blocked.
And Ricky Gervais has pointed to exactly this kind of pattern when talking about how Hollywood handles people who get too close to the truth. The industry doesn't always come at you loud. Sometimes it comes at you through paperwork. And that's what makes Ricky's recent comments about Wendy so pointed. He didn't just express sympathy. He connected her situation to a broader pattern of powerful entertainment figures using legal and financial systems to silence people who speak inconvenient truths. He's been careful about how he words things publicly because he's watched what happens when you're not. But the implication in what he said is clear enough that anyone paying attention can follow the thread. Ellen's show may be over, but the infrastructure around her, the producers, the network relationships, the Hollywood connections built over 19 years of being the industry's favorite safe face, none of that disappeared when the cameras stopped rolling. That machinery is still intact, and it has a history of responding to criticism in ways that don't look like retaliation on the surface, but function exactly like it underneath. What Wendy represented was a voice that couldn't be easily bought or redirected. She wasn't trying to climb the Hollywood ladder. She had her own platform, her own audience, and her own rules. That made her harder to manage. And in an industry that runs on control, someone you can't manage is someone you need to neutralize. The conservatorship did exactly that. Whatever the official legal reasoning was, the practical result was that Wendy Williams went from being one of the loudest voices in entertainment to someone who couldn't make a single financial or professional decision without court approval. Her show got handed off, her brand got restructured, and the stories she was telling stopped getting told. Ricky is still out there, still making the same kind of pointed observations, still saying the names that polite Hollywood conversation tries to avoid. But even he has acknowledged that the cost of doing that is real, and that not everyone who pays it gets to walk away intact. Wendy paid that cost, and the people who pushed her toward that edge are still very much part of the industry that pretends none of this ever happened. So here's where we land with all of this. Two people from completely different corners of the entertainment world, one a British comedian with a Golden Globes microphone, the other a New Jersey girl who built daytime television on pure honesty, both ended up paying a serious price for saying true things out loud. And the more you look at the details, the harder it becomes to write that off as coincidence. Hollywood has always had a way of making consequences feel invisible. No dramatic confrontation. No obvious villain. Just slow, quiet pressure applied from every direction until the voice that was bothering them goes silent. Wendy deserved better. Ricky saw it, and the fact that this story still isn't being told the way it should be tells you everything you need to know about who still has the power in that industry. If this breakdown hit different for you, drop a comment below and tell us what part of this story surprised you the most. We read every single one. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now because we're going deep on stories like this every week, the ones that don't make the front page for a reason. Like the video if you think Wendy's story deserves more attention. See you in the next one.